In the heart of America, entering the Pine Ridge Indian Reservation is like stepping into another world.
We have a rough life. We sleep here.
If the reservation was an independent country, it would be amongst the poorest in the world. With 80% unemployment, rampant alcoholism and a soaring crime rate. In the Battle of Wounded Knee here 125 years ago, 300 Native Americans were massacred by the US military. A devastating legacy remains today.
So it's really historical grief that continues to manifest and then gets re-incubated as the youth are committing suicide.
Amid the poverty and isolation, a growing number of children on the reservation are taking their own lives.
500 every year of our kids get sent to hospitals or behavior management centers for intervention and hospitalization because they tried to kill themselves. 500!
No one is really sure how many people live on the Pine Ridge Reservation. It covers 9,000 square kilometres in South Dakota, and some estimates point to a population of around 40,000 people, members of the Oglala Sioux tribe known as Lakota. Born out of America's Indian Wars, it was originally classified as a prisoner of war camp. Nowadays, like other reservations in the United States, it's operated by a tribal council, which runs everything from schools to police. The task of patrolling this vast reservation lies with just 24 officers of the Oglala Sioux Tribal Police. Sergeant Tony Kangleska is one of them.
This is, they call this the FEMA Flats, the FEMA trailer park.
In the far west of his beat is the town of Oglala. In 1999, a tornado ripped through here, but almost 2 decades on, row after row of dilapidated emergency trailers remain as homes to hundreds of Lakota people. As with elsewhere on the reservation, the police are kept busy with the excess consumption of alcohol.
Be honest, how much did you drink?
Yes, I told you.
Okay. So you took my pen? Watch you took my pen, don't move your head.
It's only mid-afternoon, but the call-outs on intoxication are coming in fast.
Advised them at a board meeting that her mother, father, and juvenile brother were all 1049 and 32.
We're going to help the other officer that's an intoxicated parent, mother, father, and juvenile son. Their residents.
We're requesting an officer up to Bruce and Mosquito Scott residents, and my name is 1049 down there.
What, juvenile male?
After locating a young girl hiding in a paddock, police investigate why her family won't let her inside.
Police officer, you need to open your door. We can come in. Police officer, your door's coming open.
You just open the door.
The family are drunk, and with the girl's welfare at stake, the police have little choice.
You're gonna end up going to jail anyway.
Open the door. Get on the ground! Get down! Put your taser away.
Put your hands behind your back. Get in there. Take a seat. Put your feet in. Don't kick my stuff or my door. You're gonna get maced again.
The girl's juvenile brother, mother and father are all arrested.
Stay right there.
No, I don't want to see it.
With no children's shelter on the reservation, police have to find somewhere safe for victims like this young girl to stay.
Anywhere else you could go?
I don't want to go anywhere else.
You don't want to go nowhere else, huh? Well, for the time being, you got to, because your family's going to incarceration. They shouldn't be drinking.
What is that?
It's going to jail. Okay?
How often do you see something like that?
Oh, far too often. It's just, and it's kind of a reoccurring deal with the same, involving the same family. Probably about 9 cases involving the same charges with the same kind of outcomes.
A nearby relative takes the girl in.
I want to make sure that she won't take off.
At just 11 years old, she's already been in this situation several times before.
A lot of them hide it, just like the young man that we took from there. He's only 15, and he, like I said, it's just a constant reoccurring deal for him. And now it's getting to that point where he's going to start throwing back the cold ones or drinking with the parents. It's kind of a sad situation, but it's the harsh reality of how it's becoming a norm in our society.
2 miles from the township of Pine Ridge, across the state border in Nebraska, is the village of White Clay. The town has a permanent population of only 14 people, but its 4 liquor stores sell nearly 4 million cans of high-strength beer a year. Almost all of it goes across the border to the reservation, where the sale of alcohol is banned.
I pray that you would just give her the strength to stay sober, and I just pray that you would just continue to give peace to Judy's heart.
Abram Newman is a young religious worker who offers support to the 100 or more street people who get drunk on high-strength beer and wander the streets.
I tried so hard. I turned myself back to alcohol.
Yeah. Well, in my experience, usually when people go to alcohol, it stops the healing process because you can't really think through things and process things.
Temperatures in White Clay can get as low as -25 Celsius. The street people sleep in tents surrounded by rubbish heaps.
Rough life.
What do you do when it snows?
We sleep here. See, other people don't even belong here, but they come and they stay with us.
Gee.
They don't help us out. This is our little cooler. We ain't got no food right now.
It's not a town. It's not even really a village. It just popped up that 4 liquor licenses were given in stores that some of them originally didn't even have floors. They were dirt floor stores. And yet they're 200 yards off of a dry reservation, and yet they claim that they're not there to sell to the reservation. I'm not sure who they're there to sell to then, because there's no one else.
Ray, come and eat your peanut butter sandwich.
Nora Bowerson knows the cost of alcoholism to the Lakota community.
Mom?
She's the foster mother of 7 children with fetal alcohol syndrome disorder.
Dante has really severe seizures. He's supplemented through tube feedings, but he can eat through his mouth too. But he takes like 5 seizure meds and a muscle relaxant and other meds during the day just to kind of keep him going. And Ariana has to be fed through actually a tube into her intestine because her stomach doesn't work correctly. And so she takes seizure meds and then is fed through her intestine. So that's some of the kids that I have to feed and medicate every morning.
It's estimated that 1 in 4 children born on the reservation is damaged by fetal alcohol syndrome. Nora has fostered over 100 affected children from the reservation, including one who took his own life.
There is a really high rate of alcoholism. There's a high rate of family breakdown right now. There's a high rate of sexual abuse. People don't want to talk about this one, but there's a really high rate of sexual abuse. And there's kids that are tired. You know, when you're talking to children who tell you that the reason that they want to commit suicide is they're just tired of living, that's kind of scary, because I think of myself at that age, and I was playing Barbies and living in a wonderful world where there wasn't ugly things, and I can't imagine even thinking about being tired of living.
These are the faces of young suicide at Pine Ridge in recent years. In 2015 alone, at least 19 children took their own lives. Hundreds more children were hospitalised after attempting suicide, prompting the Tribal Council to declare a state of emergency.
500 every year of our kids get sent to hospitals or behavior management centers for intervention and hospitalization because they tried to kill themselves. 500! Just in this little tiny place called Pine Ridge. That's sick. Something ain't right.
It was the death of 12-year-old Santana Janice just over a year ago that focused national attention on youth suicides at Pine Ridge.
She was a beautiful little girl. But, you know, she was a pretty cool kid, you know. I'm sorry, just give me a minute. Yeah, she's a beautiful child. You couldn't ask for a better child to exist than that.
Keith Janice was Santana's grandfather, and in February last year, he got a phone call that broke his heart.
I got a call from my cousin Earl early in the morning. And so I said, "Hey, Tahashi, what's the matter?" And he said, "Santana hung herself."
It's hard to imagine what would prompt any 12-year-old to take their own life, but Keith believes that Santana was severely depressed by conditions in her home life. Alarmingly, the largest spike in suicides on the reservation has been amongst young girls.
Her death has impacted the whole reservation and beyond, because Santana's death was at the end of a huge cluster of suicides. She was the 9th suicide victim in a month. That's too many. To me, that was a wake-up call.
Keith Janice has a turbulent history as an activist for the Lakota people. 14 years ago, he camped out here in the Badlands National Park and defied the authorities to remove him. He wanted to reclaim this land for his tribe so that young Lakota could reconnect with their heritage.
Kids tend to feel like hopeless. You know, they're stuck in the same rut that the federal government put the tribe in many, many, many generations ago, and reliving the same kind of hurt and isolation that their grandfathers and mothers before them, and not wanting it, you know, not wanting to live a lifestyle like that where you are isolated into a house and not able to go anywhere.
These young people, they're making the reservations, not just in Pine Ridge, but in Indian country and Native country stronger.
Yvonne DeCory is a suicide prevention worker at Pine Ridge who runs a theatre program where teens perform skits and dances about suicide and show an alternative outcome as a message of hope.
We got to take better care of our leaders, because they're our doctors, our lawyers, our next tribal chairman, our state legislators, our professional rodeo people. That's what they are. But when we bury them, those are our dreams that's going with them. So this is called Lean on Me.
It's called The Bear Project, and their skits portraying suicide are confronting. For 16-year-old Sky, this performance is particularly difficult.
The skit Lean on Me is the one where I hold the gun to my head. That really gets to me because on 3 separate occasions I've tried to kill myself with a gun. I've sat in the closet many times holding it to my head, wanting to pull the trigger, but in reality I knew I couldn't.
What stopped you?
My little sister. I love her with all my heart, and growing up around the time where I wanted to kill myself, it wasn't a very good time to leave her alone. My mom was never in our lives. We were going to be alone, so I had to stay here for her.
All of the young participants have struggled with life on the reservation and are now reaching out to other kids with a message of hope.
I know it's tough. We get stronger every day. We get stronger every day, babies. Every day is a blessing.
I grew up wearing hand-me-downs. I grew up not being able to eat most of the time. I grew up without a father, and I grew up with many of my family on drugs. So that's kind of why I'm in the Bear Project, to tell people that it doesn't need to lead to anything that harms your body physically or mentally.
Looking back, perhaps today's problems at Pine Ridge can be traced to the deliberate attempt to destroy the Lakota people's culture and customs. In the late 1800s, Indian children were rounded up and sent to boarding schools, where they were forbidden to speak their language and banned from performing traditional ceremonies. Many Lakota firmly believe that the legacy of Wounded Knee continues to impact the generations.
So it's really historical grief that continues to manifest and then gets re-incubated as the youth are committing suicide. So it becomes a constant grieving process. You know, there are so many funerals in all of the 9 districts of Pine Ridge in particular. There's, you know, funerals going on every single day. And I believe that's what's really at the root of a lot of our youth suicide, is that intense amount of grief. I can't go on.
At this seminar for social workers, police officers and teachers, Dr. Ruby Gibson is dealing with the pain inflicted on the Lakota people by policies aimed at destroying their culture.
I mean, it was designed to kill the Indian in the child, and it worked very well. It was a genocidal act, and we're recovering from genocide. That's huge. And most of us can't even go there and think about it because it's so painful. You know, Lakota people have such a beautiful heart, but that great big heart is wounded. And it's wounded because we've been forced to forget.
Allows the mind to relax as it focuses easily, gently.
At the Little Wound High School, Lakota students are encouraged to understand the problems facing their community.
Look ahead to 100 years from now. Think, what do you want the reservation to be like? What do you want it to look like out here? What do you want going on? What kind of things would you like to see?
We need to help the community with like houses and clothes and shoes for the children and get dropouts to go back in school. We need more community things to help people.
Yeah. So that's interesting that you think so what do you think the tribe is worried about then? If they're not worried about it?
Money.
Just getting themselves money?
Yeah.
Getting money for themselves?
We're at a stage where the government has never really known what to do with the Indian people. And so by them prescribing solutions to our community has actually created perpetual poverty.
Although historical trauma weighs heavily on the tribe, one group of young Indians are offering real solutions and not getting bogged down in the past.
It doesn't help us to keep telling the story of poverty over and over and over. And make people all around the country feel sad or guilty or whatever. The reality is that the problem that exists in Indian country is an American problem.
So this house is really more than just a structure sitting out on the prairie. It's also allowed us to have conversations that otherwise would never have happened.
Thunder Valley is a community development organisation which is teaching young Lakota how to build environmentally sustainable housing from scratch.
We bring them here and we show them that it really is made out of straw.
As well as agricultural skills to provide food sovereignty for the reservation into the future. Tribal culture and customs are at the heart of Nick Tilson's vision for Pine Ridge, which has caught the attention of the White House. All of Thunder Valley students are taught how to speak in Lakota to ensure the language survives.
Our whole organization's purpose is we want to end poverty in less than a generation. And that doing this development gives examples of what that could look like. It could create mechanisms in which investment, donations, programs, different types of things created that create hope, that meet the present needs of people, and inspire other communities to do the same thing.
Although the challenges the tribe are facing are daunting, most of them agree that the solution will only be found from within. In recent times, attendances at community events like this traditional powwow are up, as children are introduced to the Lakota culture. A clear message that the tribe lives on, determined to overcome the hand that history has dealt them.